Yeah, it was amazing. It was, no, yeah, yeah. It's you know, you know what I mean. That's what we are. That's right. So I think it's a hard thing. Steve, the stars.
I'll tell you one thing about podcast. I'll drink this. What the season so? Yeah, exactly. That's one question we're not asking.
Audio test, testing 1, 2, 3. Audio test, testing 1, 2, 3. Brett McReynolds, if you can hear me on Zoom, can you just confirm if you can hear us on Zoom? If you can just unmute your microphone.
Yeah, Fernando, I'm here.
Hey, Brett, good morning. Good hearing your voice.
Good morning.
Thank you for confirming. Good morning, everyone. Again, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer for today, Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. We should get started in the next minute. Apologies for the delay this morning. For today, on item number 1, it'll be presented by George Wang, accompanied by Amy Bai. Item number 2 will be led by Clifford Schum and John Bali and Brian Trung. Item number 3, I will take the lead along with Gary Harris and Craig Shaw. Item number 4 will be presented by Alex Halou, followed by John Park. Item 5 will be presented by Uri Jimenez. Item number 6, Lindsay Naish. Item number 7, Abdullah Sadoze. And item number 8, the LA Metro team, to be kicked off by Matt Antonelli. For Bureau representatives that are joining us this morning through the Zoom application, thank you for joining us this morning. This is for Brett McReynolds, Mike Mullen, Patrick Schmidt, Mary Jane Muir. Thank you all for joining us. Should the board have any questions for you, we will open up those audio lines at that time for the Bureau representatives. For those of you that are joining us in person, good morning to you all, and thank you all for joining us for a very special celebration for our MSO graduates and graduates. Congratulations on getting to this point. If you're a member of the general public that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items, if you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9, or if you're joining us through the Zoom application, there is a raise hand icon located at the lower right-hand side of your screen. If you're here in person at City Hall, there are speaker cards located at the back end of the room. You can go ahead and fill that speaker card and hand that over to me, and we would put you in the queue to speak under general public comment or comments on any of the items for today's agenda. Again, this is for members of the general public that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda. If you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9. Click the raise hand icon if you're joining us through Zoom, or submit a speaker card if you're here live in City Hall or at City Hall. Seeing no hands raised, Vice President Villegas, we do have all the presenters in the queue. Again, special celebration today for our MSO graduates that are in the room. We have President Garcia out on city business, and we have Commissioner Reyes that's also an approved personal leave for today. We do have all 3 commissioners in the room, and I can go ahead and start the recording if you'd like.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Madam Chair, you are now in record mode.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Good morning and welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled meeting of March 8th, 2023. We have about 8 items on today's agenda. We'll have a special presentation for the motor sweeper operation graduation ceremony, and that'll be from the Bureau of Street Services. Why don't we get started first? Dr. Campos, you've established quorum for us. Do we have any general public comments?
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. For establishing roll call and quorum, we have Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Corzine. Madam Chair, you do have a quorum at this time. Madam Chair, at this time, we do not have any callers on the line for general public comment. We also have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We also do not have any callers on the line for any of the items for today's agenda.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, do we have an approval of the minutes from Wednesday, February 22nd?
So moved.
I'll second that. Dr. Campos, if you'd like to take a vote for that, please.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation for the minutes. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Corzine.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, if you'd like, we can go ahead and also close out general public comment.
Yes, thank you. I'm
Thank
off
you.
script today. I don't have anything. Yes, let's close general public comment and neighborhood council comment as well. Thank you. All right, then let's move on to our presentation of our motor sweeper operator graduation ceremony. We have about 17 members who have completed this training, which is a big endeavor, and hopefully it'll be life-changing, and they'll be able to stay around with our LA City family as well, just a start to that employment. Thank you and welcome, Stephanie. I'll turn the mic over to you.
Great, thank you so much. Good morning, Stephanie Clements, Assistant Director of Bureau of Street Services. We're here today to congratulate our motor sweeper operator graduates of fall 2022. Congratulations. This is part of one of our many training initiatives. It's part of our what we call our street technology maintenance program, developed in conjunction with LA Trade Tech. We offer multiple classes every semester on various courses related to streets functions. This is a very coveted, popular course. And what's so exciting right now in terms of timing is that the city is going to be offering the motor sweeper operator test this spring. That's what they've told us. So we're really excited. We have vacancies. We want to, work to, clean up the city and all that good stuff. So we want to honor the folks today. I also want to say how impressive it is because these guys and gals, they have full-time jobs. They're required to work overtime sometimes, but they came here on every Saturday, not here, but to the class, every Saturday all day after a full week of work. And then probably some of you guys work Sundays too sometimes. So it's very, very impressive. Great job. So I think I'm just going to pass it on over to the people that are really the experts here. Abraham Navarro is one of our former assistant directors of the Bureau of Street Services. He has generously continued to teach many of our courses, and we are extremely grateful for what you do. We have a lot of new employees at the Bureau of Street Services. Over half of our operational employees, about half, I'm sorry, have less than 5 years of city experience. It shows that we're hiring, although we're having hiring issues, but there's just so many new employees, because a lot of folks retired through SIP and ERIP. So we really appreciate, Abraham, what you do for this organization in the city. So I'm going to pass it on to him, and then we will honor our graduates with certificates. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just take my papers.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. And I thank you for having us today to present the certificates of completion to our 30th class of motor sweeper operators. The first class started in 1985, and back then our General Superintendent, Mr. Al Sims, saw the need for the class to prepare motor sweeper operators. Back then I was a young training superintendent, and I had the pleasure of implementing and getting the class together at that time for the first time. It's been 38 years since then. My fellow instructors then were Mr. Merrill Morgan, Bill Robertson, Billy Ross, Frank Jones, and Steve Munoz. As it was mentioned earlier, this class is one of 19 classes that we offer in the Street Maintenance Technology Program. And the program is a joint effort between the Street Services, the Bureau of Street Services, and the Los Angeles Community College District. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome the class of the fall of 2022. As it was stated before, it's composed of 17 proud students, bringing the total number of graduates to 747. The success of this program is due to 4 main elements. The first one is your board continuous support for the program and the leadership of our director, Keith Mosey. Mr. Mosey is not here today, but he's a proud graduate of the class of 1991. Second, the invaluable administrative support of Ms. Melinda Show's team, which includes our program coordinator, Ms. Martina Ruiz. Where's Martina Ruiz? Ms. Ruiz's dedication and perseverance has contributed significantly to the success of this class. She makes sure that all of the administrative details are taken care of, from the college registration, the commercial driver license requirements, the timely preparation and distribution of the class materials, and many more endeavors. Ms. Ruiz is to be commended for her extraordinary work. Thank you, Ms. Ruiz. Thank you. Third, the dedicated field instructors with their willingness to share their institutional knowledge and work experiences with our students. And the front line for the fall of 22, the instructors were Steve Jacobellis, here. Hans Duran today. Hans Duran, Leticia Garnica, Jeffrey Harris, Jeff, Langston Phillips, thank you. Ms. Latrice Lewis, Mr. Danny Cordova, thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Mark Duran. And finally, but extremely important, I need to recognize the willingness of each student to give up his or her Saturdays to obtain the family support and encouragement during the Saturdays away from home. Do we have any family members here today? 1, 2, all right. In closing, I congratulate each student for his or her determination and effort. They have mastered the safe operation procedures and maintenance practice of a motor sweeper operator. Their dedication has earned this certificate of completion, and now they join the Street Cleaning family. Thank you. Thank you.
Guess I'll just hand these out. Normally we give them out up here, but.
Stephanie, did you want to give them their certificates? We can call them out by name?
Up to you.
Yes, yeah, I think we should, for giving up a lot of weekends and going through class. We can just take an extra little bit of time to recognize them by name if they want to come up and receive their certificate, please.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. So we'll start again. So Juan Aguilera? No. Carlos Alvarez? No. We sure they... Latrina? No. You know what? I don't know. Are these, maybe maybe these aren't the right ones. Oh, they are the right ones? Okay. Do you recognize the names? They are? Okay. Eric Cruz. All right. Yes. Come on down. Eric, congratulations. Thank you so much. Carlos Escobar. Okay. They got to work, right? Richard Garcia. Okay. Luis Hernandez, Jr. Emmanuel Johnson, Sr. All right, yes. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Great job. Okay, thank you. So Joel Yerger. And Joel wanted to say a few words, if that's okay.
Yes.
I'll get your certificate. Why don't you go ahead?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Joel Yerger, and I'm a heavy-duty truck operator for Street Services, Urban Forestry. I've driven for over 20 years, but the last 4 have been with Urban Forestry. I've noticed the motor sweepers throughout the years in the streets of Los Angeles, but I have never truly appreciated them for all they are. Motor sweeping is a difficult craft that involves a vast set of knowledge. When beginning this class, I didn't realize how intricate the mechanics of the machines were. I, as well as many of my fellow peers, would likely agree that learning the mechanics of the sweepers was one of the most challenging parts of the course. I'd say that within the first 3 weeks of the course, I thought about dropping the course. That's how hard it was. But with the encouragement of my instructors and my fellow classmates, I decided to continue. And with their encouragement, I persevered and I graduated, and I truly enjoyed the class. And I think the best part of the class was the hands-on experience and the camaraderie and the encouragement of not only my classmates, but the instructors and Mr. Navarro. Very, very knowledgeable person and very just encouraging person. I really, really enjoyed the class. It's very fulfilling to me, and I truly enjoyed it. And with the support of my wife, Kathy, who's here, and my daughter, and just them, their support in giving up my Saturdays and their encouragement, I got through this. And with Martina's help in organizing everything, I really appreciated that. And the instructors, without them, we wouldn't be here. So I have to say thank you. Thank you to LA Trade Tech, and thank you for the city for this opportunity. I truly appreciate everything that you guys do. So thank you, and I appreciate it, and hopefully I hope to be cleaning the streets of LA and sweeping up the city. So thank you guys very much.
Okay, and then Michael Vega? All right. Congratulations. Thank you. I'll get you yours, I'm sorry. And then Jorge Michael? All right. Thank you. I'll grab it. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And I think I got Carlos, Eric, Emmanuel, Jorge, Michael, and Joel. Is that everybody? Great. Thank you so much, and thank you.
Well, congratulations again. And I'll repeat their names because it's worth mentioning. We have Juan Aguilera, Carlos Alvarez, Latrina Bland, Eric Cruz, Carlos Escobar, Richard Garcia, Luis Hernandez Jr., Emmanuel Johnson Sr., Gustavo Lopez, Jorge Michel, Fernando Moran, Florencio Rojas, Ulysses Sanchez, Tatiana Shepard, Teria Thompson, Michael Vega, and Joel Yerger. Congratulations. And thank you so much for completing the class. Thank you so much for having the ability to, within you, to be able to do the class, sign up for it, and actually persevere and finish it. As an adult who went back for, one of my degrees, it's hard to balance. So I commend you for that and appreciate all the families' willingness to help out and support. So thank you all. And to Street Services, I really commend you all also for just making that bridge and that connection with LA Trade Tech and persevering to educate our staff so that they are more versatile in the type of equipment that they shepherd throughout the city. And the street sweepers, as you all know, we are expanding so that we are able to provide more services throughout the city. So thank you very much. This is really important for us to commend our employees. And to Mr. Navarro, as always, thank you so much for your diligence and your patience and your perseverance to be able to continue with the class. Thank you so much. All right. Well, with that, now we got to get back to business, but thank you again. All right. My computer froze. Let's see. Do we go on? I'm going to start with item number 1. I forgot. Let's just take a 5-minute break. Stephanie and all the other graduates, don't leave yet. We're going to take a quick picture. Yeah, we can take it back there. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. We'll take one quick picture and then we'll resume with the agenda. Thank you.
till you. We go from bad to worse.
Before we wrap up the graduation, Chief Harris, and then if we have a representative from LA Trade Tech, my sincere apologies. We want to recognize the work that you've all done. Thank you. The floor is yours, Chief Harris.
Well, good morning. Gary Harris on behalf of the Bureau of Street Services, Streets LA. Thank you, Commissioners and Bureau Representatives, Mr. Executive Officer. It's always a privilege, it's always an honor to celebrate the most valuable resource that we have in the Department of Public Works, the Bureau of Street Services, and those are our employees, the women and men who dedicate themselves to public service. And they do a very important function out there. You know, these MSO graduators are parts of our crews that served the city after the recent rainstorms and went out there, regardless of the weather conditions, to make sure that the city streets were safe and possible for our other first responders. You know, we like to say that our people are also first responders because they clear the streets that allow police, fire, and the other important entities to be able to do their job. So these people have a very important task, and we're very appreciative of them working to now advance themselves. You know, an example of how important this training is our current director, Mr. Keith Mose, who took the same class. He started as a truck operator, and now Mr. Mose is the general manager of Streets LA. So there's no shortage of how far these graduates could go, and they will be the next future leaders of the Bureau of Street Services. But in closing, I want to leave you with something, and this is a quote that I borrow from Dr. Davis here. It's a quote by Martin Luther King regarding street sweepers. It says, "If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets, even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will praise to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well." That's Dr. Martin Luther King. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Harris. Thank you. And did we have somebody from LA Trade Tech here? No. Okay.
Ms. Chairperson, I just wanted to make a quick comment in terms of the work that is being done by the Bureau of Street Services. I'm very proud that we are continuing the legacy of the Street Operators Program, and we do it annually. But I also want to bring a focus to it because in addition to the mayor's emphasis on the homeless, I hope that we, and not only Street Services, but the other bureaus who hire, will continue to make sure that we are training individuals and filling these unfilled slots that we have. We have a high unemployment area in some of the challenging economic communities, or communities where we need more of our economy. And so this work that you have continued to do adds value to that work. And even as we talk about the homeless, I hope that the story that you have shared about the director, Keith Mose, can reflect other stories that we can create. And hopefully one day we'll have somebody that used to be homeless who will be a graduate of the Operators Program. So I thank you for continuing the legacy of training individuals for employment, and I was very happy to hear Stephanie talk about your preparing for what the administration has said will be the opening of jobs. So I compliment you, and that's going to be my theme song as well, is that those of us in the Public Works Department are paying a special attention to the training and to the hiring of people in these positions that are unfilled. And I think we can make a difference as an example to other businesses in Los Angeles when we open our doors and prove that we are hiring more of our own citizens. And so thank you for the leadership on this issue.
Thank you. All right. I think I had a choppy start to the morning. It didn't quite flow as I'd anticipated, so thank you, everybody, for your patience. All right, let's go on then to, actually, Dr. Campos, if you can establish quorum again, and then we'll get started with our agenda items.
Absolutely. We'll reestablish quorum. We have Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Corzine. Madam Chair, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, then why don't we start out with item number 1. And that's item number 1. It's a street closure, various locations, active transportation program, cycle 2, pedestrian and bicycle neighborhood intersection enhancement project, recommending that the board, number 1, authorize a temporary full street closure at the following 4 locations for the construction of the active transportation program cycle 2 pedestrian and bicycle neighborhood intersection enhancement project. A, intersection of Rosewood Avenue and Martell Street from March 16, 2023 to April 9, 2023. B, intersection of 88th Place and McKinley Avenue from April 3, 2023 to April 24th, 2023. C, intersection of Telfair Avenue and Montague Street from April 17, 2023 to May 8, 2023. And last, D, intersection of Avenue 50 and Meridian from May 1, 2023 to May 22, 2023. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is George Huang. I'm from the Bureau of Engineering, Senior Civil Engineer. We have an item to request for the full closure of this active transportation program. We're bringing federal funding, investing into pedestrian enhancement work at these 4 various locations that span across four different council districts. So we're really excited. It's in construction. So we have been contractors has been working on constructing some of the pedestrian improvements. Now they're ready to move onto this next phase, which is to construct a roundabout. So I'm going to pass it off to our project manager to give more information about this project and about the closure. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Amy B. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering Streets Improvement Division. I am the project manager. Giving a brief overview of the project, it is part of the Active Transportation Program. It's to increase the use of different modes of transportation and to increase the safety and mobility of pedestrians, cyclists, and other non-motorized users. The project improvement includes installing new curb ramps, sidewalk, mini roundabouts, striping, landscaping at 4 of the different intersections located in 4 different council districts. As George had mentioned, the project is in construction. They're all located in residential areas. With this full closure that we are requesting for, it will help with the installation of the roundabout and with the water relocation, utility relocation, and will minimize impact to the public and the construction schedule. The contractor will maintain access to all of the property driveways, and the temporary full closure will not impact the project cost. The request for the temporary full closure will span from March 16th through May 22nd with 4 different locations, as mentioned previously. We have also attached, as part of the report, 4 transmittals that shows the various location of closures. Included in that is LADOT's approved temporary worksite traffic control plans and detour plans. Along with that, concurrence from all 4 council districts, Council District 5, 7, 9, and 14. And along with that, sample copies of the construction notices that will be distributed 10 days prior to the closure. That concludes my presentation. We're open for any questions.
Thank you for your presentation, both to George and Amy. Thank you. All right. Commissioners, do we have any questions on this item? No? All right, and I see that you were able to reach out to all the offices, council districts 5, 7, 9, and 14.
Correct.
Okay, and they're all in concurrence with?
Correct.
Yeah. I appreciate you putting that in the transmittals as well.
Of course.
All right, and LADOT will help out, or who will do the outreach, I guess, 10 days in advance of the closures?
The contractor will be providing the notices and distributing to the residents.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions, and I don't see any other lights on. Do we have a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Corsan. Dr. Campos, if you want to take a roll call, please.
Absolutely. Let's start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this item to go forward forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Then moving on to item 2, and this is with the Bureau of Sanitation, and this is in all districts, and it's a task order solicitation number SN135 CDM Smith, Inc., Urban Lake and Real-Time Monitoring Systems, recommending that the board, number 1, authorize the Director of Sanitation or designee to award TOS SN135 to CDM Smith, Inc., from the on-call consultants list, Number 2, approve a total budget of $780,000 to conduct technical support for Urban Lakes real-time monitoring systems. And 3, approve the term of engagements beginning from the notice to proceed date through July 22nd, 2024, and that's work order S33WS135 and C124342. Thank you. And before us, we have Clifford Shum, John Ball, and Brian Trong. Okay, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Vice President Villegas, members of the board. My name is Clifford Shum. I'm a water biologist 3 with LA Sanitation and Environment, Watershed Protection Division. We focus on surface water and stormwater compliance. I'm joined today by my supervisors, Brian Trong and John Ball, to request authority to issue notice of award to CDM Smith Incorporated for TOS SN 135 and to approve the budget and terms of the engagement. TOS SN 135 provides technical support for the real-time monitoring systems that are operating in City of LA urban lakes. This includes those at Machado Lake and Ken Malloy Harbor Regional Park, and the lakes at Echo Park, MacArthur Park, and Lincoln Park. This TOS falls under the LA Sanitation on-call parent contract for technical support services. The requested budget is $780,000, and this TOS is expected to continue until the on-call contract expires in July of 2024. 100% of this funding is expected to come from the Safe Clean Water Program municipal fund. So the real-time monitoring systems, they capture and record conditions that later can be visualized on charts remotely. These systems are an important component of helping us as the watershed protection and also lake managers to determine when and why water quality is impaired. As you may be aware, some of these lakes were renovated under Proposition O and are approaching 10 years now since those projects have been completed. A TOS for the optimization of these lakes has also recently passed through board. So the goal of this contract is to work alongside those optimization activities to protect the investment that has been made in these lakes and also to protect the public that use these lakes for recreation. Work done under this contract will ensure the real-time monitoring systems are working around the clock and operate with as little downtime as possible, as well as develop a standard workflow that we can use in all of the lakes. So we have selected CDM Smith as the prime consultant for this TOS. They have around a 30-year history of supporting Department of Public Works and LA Sanitation's water quality compliance efforts, and they have developed and led urban lake monitoring activities across the United States with some of that direct experience with City of LA urban lakes. So under this contract, this work will include the development of standard procedures and a comprehensive manual, routine maintenance and calibration checks, data validation and reporting, as well as operations and maintenance, which would include any troubleshooting or repairs that come up as needed. So thank you for your time and consideration, and we can answer any questions that you may have.
Dr. Davis.
Great. Thank you so much for this report. And in terms of those vendors that also you considered, this came from the list, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the CM Smith is the only person we have on the list that can do this work? Or how did we, in terms of looking at the list, were they next in line? Or are they one of a few people that do this particular work as it relates to water compliance? Could you explain?
Yes, they were actually the one proposal we received, but Brian, if you would like to.
Yeah, actually, CDM Smith is one of the 24 main contract, but they the only one that's respond to the proposal.
Got it. So they're the only ones?
Yes.
And they have worked with us before, you explained. We have a history of working with them successfully, obviously.
That is correct.
And the others that are on the list do this work but just did not apply in terms of submitting a proposal.
Yes, that is correct.
Do you know why that is, perhaps?
I'm not sure, but I would say that this is very unique, specialized skill, and a lot of vendor, they might not have the expertise to perform the task.
So the other firms that are on the list don't do this kind of work, probably, is what you're saying?
Most likely they might have, but they just don't have enough skill or expertise to maintain and troubleshoot the buoy systems.
I see. Okay. And so CM Smith will help to preserve the work that we have already done on these identified areas such as Machado Lake and MacArthur Park Lake and Lincoln Park Lake and others, that the CM Smith company has the set of skills that will help us to maintain the gains that we have had in improving those areas from the Prop O investments that we have put in over the last 10 years or so. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
In terms of the opportunities for work from this contract, it's not really a terribly large contract, but to what degree can business inclusion occur on this contract with CM Smith, or is it so highly specialized that there are no opportunities for subs and collaboration?
I mean, CDM Smith is the prime, and under the contract we have F&F Pandion.
I see.
F&F Pandion is the sub to CDM Smith, and they are the veteran-owned business, and I think the majority of the work, about 64% of it, go to the sub, which is the F&F Pandion.
I see. And what's the sub's name again?
FMF Pandion.
And are they a local business, perhaps? Are
They
local?
are based out of Escondido, I believe.
I see.
Yeah.
Encinitas.
Encinitas,
Okay,
yes.
so there is, so CM Smith is the major prime, and they do collaborate with a sub on this particular project. All right, thank you so much for that information.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your report. Just have a quick question on this item. So as the monitoring is coming up, and you mentioned, they're going to have some troubleshooting, so there'll be some corrections that possibly will need to be made, and LA San will address those?
Initially, we would like to have the main contractor develop a comprehensive SOP, and then if once that established, our in-house staff will be able to take that and go with it.
Okay. All right, and how often, are they doing this just to be able to comply with our requirements for the regional board?
For Machado Lake,
Okay.
yes, because we have the nutrients and toxics team there that will help with data compliance, but for the Echo Park Lake, Lincoln Park Lake, and MacArthur Park Lake, those are more like for public protection. A lot of time when during the dry summer month we have algae growth, and this buoy will tell us there might be a low DO on algae growth, or it might be a public health issue.
Okay. And will there be coordination? I know we have, Lincoln Park was part of our Safe Clean Water program that was funded, so will that get coordinated?
Yes, it will. It's part of the Safe Clean Water Fund, yes.
Okay. No, I'm just talking about the monitoring versus the construction that's going to be going on at the park.
Yeah, the monitoring for this real-time system is a buoy that we drop in the lake, and it's constantly feeding real-time data to our office.
All right, I appreciate it, thank you. All right, commissioners, no other questions? All right, is there a motion to move this item? I'll second that. Dr. Campos, we have a motion by Commissioner Davis and a second by myself. If you want to take roll call for us, please.
Yes, we can. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Corzine.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to move this item forward forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're good.
Thanks.
All right. Then let's go on to item number 3, and that's from the Bureau of Street Services. And this is in Council District number 9. And this is an emergency nuisance abatement of vacant lot 116 East 59th Place, recommending that the board approve The Bureau of Street Services requests to clean the nuisance property located at 116 East 59th Place under an emergency declaration. And number 2, request the city attorney to review the emergency request and approve to the form and legality to the city clerk. And that's reference CF 221542. And this was continued from last week and the week prior. And for this item, Dr. Campos and Chief Harris, did you all want to speak on this item?
Absolutely. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Commissioners, thank you again for allowing us some space to talk about the public nuisance abatement that was requested by the City Council and your board on 116th East 59th Place. Since we've been providing weekly updates to your board from last week to this week, we've done a couple of things. One, we have requested the fabrication and posting of the actual notice itself at the property. That was requested on March 1st, and then also with Chief Harris and his team, we were able to post that sign on the property itself on March the 6th. In addition to that, we've been working with the Office of the City Clerk to make notice of the service itself. We did serve the property owner, as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, via mail, and the proof of service went out. But we also took an extra step, and we published it also in the Daily Journal, just in case, to make sure that the public knows that we are abating this property, and that the property owner knows that we've also serviced him regarding the nuisance abatement. And that is scheduled to come out today, actually, Wednesday, March the 8th, 2022. In addition to that, we have been working with, as I mentioned, Chief Harris and his crew. I would like to thank Craig Shaw, John Minix, and all the bridge crew. Gary, thank you so much for going out to the property itself and posting the sign, picking up the sign. Our GSD forces, also the Department of General Services, also fabricated the signs for us. So I want to give a quick shout out to that team in working that, or fabricating the sign within 48 hours. They were able to produce that. The city clerk's team, Erica Pultz, Patrice Lattimore, and Petty Santos also provided not only establishing the hearing date that's scheduled for Wednesday, March 22nd, 2024 at 10 a.m. in City Council chambers, but also provided us the additional added service to publish the nuisance abatement intent at the Daily Journal. Commissioners, last thing I'll say, and then I'll turn it over to Chief Harris if he would like to add anything else. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, it is a 15-step process. Last time we provided the update, we were at step 3. I'm pleased to say that we are now heading into step 7, so halfway through the process in terms of the notices and getting the service out to the property owner. As soon as this meeting is over, the next step for us is to start convening the team that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. And this team will include individuals from the Bureau of Sanitation, the Bureau of Street Services, LEPD, of course, LAZA will be there as well, possibly DOT, City Attorney's team, and of course the Board of Public Works. So this is going to be a team effort. It's not just the Board of Public Works or one bureau. It really is a collaboration among many agencies to make this happen. Again, step 7, and hopefully the next time we report back to you, we would be closer to step 10 or 11 of the 15-step process. With that, I'll turn it over to Gary, Chief Harris, if you'd like to add anything else.
Yeah, Gary Harris on behalf of the Bureau of Street Services. First of all, we want to thank Dr. Campos for his coordination. As he stated, it's a multi-agency event, and so we certainly appreciate his efforts to help us in getting the cooperation from all of our city partners. We want to thank the Bureau of Sanitation, who recently worked with LASA to get the outreach going. In fact, for the last month, LASA has been at that location doing outreach. So we have significant outreach given to all of the folks there to ensure that they're being offered the opportunities to relocate prior to the hearing. And it's our hope that in working with LASA and our partners, that the facility should be empty by the time we proceed forth to do the actual cleaning. We still have hopes that the property owner may decide to come into compliance once now that we've been posted and once they're aware of the significant costs that will be involved to convene all the city agencies to do it, and that it will be significantly less expensive if they take it upon themselves to comply. So we're hopeful that may occur, but if it does not, we're prepared and working with Dr. Campos and the multiple agencies to be there on the day that the compliance date gives us the authority to go on property, and we will make sure that it occurs as expeditiously as possible. We know it is a major concern to the community, and so we will do everything we can to help expedite the process. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Chief Harris. Commissioner Davis?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no questions? Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Campos, this is a receive and file?
That is the recommendation to your board to receive and file. However, if your board would like to continue this item, we can continue the item for 2 weeks, or possibly that's Wednesday, March 22nd. That's the date that the hearing is scheduled before the council, so there's probably not going to be a lot of update at that meeting. So your board has two options. One, you can receive and file in as much as no action is going to be taken on the report that's before you, or if your board would like, you can continue this item for 2 or 4 weeks.
Why don't we continue it for 4 weeks after, and we can just get an update, and then we can decide what to do after that.
Okay, so the 4 weeks would be Wednesday, April the 5th, 2023.
Okay.
Hearing no objections, then we'll go ahead and continue the item for
Yes.
Wednesday, April 5th.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
And we'll provide you an
continue the
update.
item for 4 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Then let's move on to item number 4, and this is a joint report with Bureau of Sanitation and Bureau of Contract Administration, and this is a personal service contract for Clean Harbors Environmental Services, recommending that the board approve and forward this report with transmittals to the mayor and city council with the request that the Board of Public Works be authorized to execute a personal service contract with Clean Harbors Environmental Services for Task A, Residential Special Materials Program, and Task B, the Hazardous Waste Routine and Emergency Field Services. And 2, upon the mayor and council's authorization, the president or 2 members of the board will execute the contract. And that's work order SHHAZWST, and this was continued from last week. And before us, we have Mr. Alex Halou and Mr. John Park.
Well, good morning, Madam Chair.
Good
morning, Commissioner Davis. Good morning, Commissioner Corsan. Good morning, City Attorney Choi and Executive Officer Alex Halou, Assistant General Manager for LA Sanitation and Environment. I was hoping we can get this item before you actually last December. So on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation, I want to apologize. It took us longer time to get here. And but we are here today because sanitation put out a request for proposals. We did extensive outreach with our staff. Mary Benson is here who could talk about this. And after doing extensive outreach, we did evaluation and the staff selected Clean Harbor. The contract in front of you is humongous. It's over $400 million. It covers many elements, though. The first element is the safe centers. We have 7 safe centers throughout the city. This is where our residents could bring in their household hazardous waste and dispose of it safely. Our safe centers, I'm proud to say, have won many awards, thanks to the great staff that we have operating those centers. And this part of the contract is really about $1 million per center per year. So the total for that task is about $7 million. We are hoping we can expand the centers. Right now, we only have 7. However, we have a need in South Los Angeles. We've been trying, and I've been telling the story since Council Member Holden was in office. We were looking for a location where we can put a safe center. We worked with Councilmember Holden, Councilmember Parks, and we were never able. Luckily, recently, a location came up available in South LA that will be able to service CD8, CD9, and CD10. This way, the residents do not have to travel all the way to Hyperion or go to UCLA Center, which is about 35 to 40 miles back and forth. This way, they'll be able to utilize a place in the community. So we're really excited. We checked with CD10, and they were supportive of us taking over that area to put a safe center. Again, out of the contract, the $400 million, this is a really small portion. It's about $7 million a year we're talking about. The second element, though, that covers under this RFP is the watershed division. The watershed division, they have environmental compliance inspectors. They go out, they look at things. If they see something hazardous, they handle it, and then they need the assistance of Clean Harbor, they call them in. We have Abraham from the WPD who could talk about these things. Finally, the third larger element really is the livability service division. Domingo Orozco is here, and he could talk about, you know, why he needs the $300 million. But really it is to help achieve the mayor goal of cleaning the streets of LA, support Inside Safe, as well as be able to, when we move homeless out, we'll be able to clean up the area around them and give it back clean to the community. This is really what the bulk of the money of the 400 is really going to Inside Safe. There are multiple funding sources. One of them is what's called the SWRF, which is the solid waste. The other one is WPD, and they could use some of their own funding. The bulk of the fund, again, is general fund. That's where the bulk of the money that the city council and the mayor has put in to clean and support Inside Safe. I would like to turn it over to staff. They can go quickly over the PowerPoint presentation, and we're here with the entire team that could answer any questions you may have. Thank you. John?
Good morning, President Villegas, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Corsant, and other Bureau representatives. LA San designated me as a program manager for hazardous waste management contract. The ceiling of this contract is $432.8 million for 11 years, which is one 5-year contract plus 2 3 years of optional extension. And this contract consists of 2 tasks, Task A and Task B. Task A is a recycling operation exclusively for solid safe centers and other recycling operations, such as a mobile collection event, batteries, sharps, and used oil program by Solid Resources Citywide Recycling Division. 30% of the contract ceiling is dedicated to Task A. Task B is routine and emergency hazardous waste field services. 70% of ceiling is dedicated to Task B for all other sanitation divisions, especially for Livability Service Division and Watershed Protection Division. It will be used for street cleanups and homeless cleanups. The contract RFP process started back in 2018, and the board approved the RFP to release in April 2021. Also, the board authorized us to negotiate the final terms. On July 29, 2021, we received 3 proposals from 3 companies. They are Clean Earth, Clean Harbors, and US Ecology. Clean Harbors and Clean Earth initially submitted their proposals for Task A and B. Later on, Clean Earth withdrew from Task B. US Ecology submitted its proposal for Task B only. During the proposal evaluation and negotiation, my staff reviewed every pages of the terms and conditions of the proposal fairly and thoroughly. Also, proposers were allowed to submit their rates due to poor economic conditions, high transportation cost, labor cost increase, and supply chain shortage caused by the pandemic. The contract ceiling is $432.8 million for Task A and B. Task A operation cost for 11 years is about $126 million. Currently, our division operates 7 safe centers. We are on the way to building a new safe centers in South LA and another safe center sometimes in 11 years. So 9 safe centers operation costs are included in this projection. Handling hazardous waste is very expensive, and regulations in California are getting more challenging every year. Most treatment facilities are located outside of California, so transportation cost is very high. and the hiring adequate trained personnel adds to the cost. The projection includes up to 5% CPI adjustment annually and 15% increase in participation and volume increase annually. Lastly, we added 20% contingency to handle new waste streams for 11 years. Now I'm going to ask Task B operation program managers to brief you on their cost estimation, and I will resume the briefing after Task B team briefing. First, Chief Abraham.
Hello, board members. Thank you for your time today. My name is Abraham Abrahamian. I'm the Chief Environmental Compliance Inspector with Watershed Protection Division. Our operations consist of working with the MS4 permit for the stormwater ordinance, and we proceed with emergency response as well. We require this Clean Harbors contract to support us with removal of hazardous materials that we come across in our emergency responses and our abandoned waste pickups. So this is a very crucial part of our day-to-day operations. We conduct these operations, our staff goes out and hazcats these hazardous materials, and we require Clean Harbors to come out and pick up and dispose of these materials. And I'll pass it on to Domingo to proceed with the LSD operations.
Thank you, Chief Abraham. Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Executive Officer, City Attorney. Domingo Roscoe, Assistant Division Manager, Livability Services Division. Livability Services oversees citywide receptacle collection, illegal dumping collection. We also provide mobile hygiene service across the city, as well as our largest program is the Care and Care Plus program. That program directly supports Mayor Bass's initiative on Inside Safe and safely and voluntarily moving folks into permanent supportive housing. With this program, we directly support that with voluntary trash disposal and also the remediation of any current, clear, and present health safety hazards as we find them in the public right-of-way or other public areas. Clean Harbors directly assists us with that operation by removing these health and safety hazards from the right-of-way and disposing of those material and those items. They help us with removing bio-waste, sharps, needles, aerosols, paints, other liquids. This is a critical component to the service that we provide, and we look forward to expeditiously continuing this service across the city. Thank you.
Thank you. So at the beginning of this process, I intended to select multiple vendors for this contract. However, only 3 vendors responded to the RFP due to unexpected circumstance, like a pandemic, which led to poor economic conditions, high transportation costs, and high labor and disposable cost. The cost of running this program becomes the most critical factor in selecting the contractor. For a quick summary of the cost comparison, Clean Harbors labor and mobilization costs are lower than its competitors by 30%, and their disposable cost is low by 10 to 300% in Task A. In Task B, Clean Harbors labor and mobilization costs are low by 20 to 40%. Disposal costs are low by 20 to 50% than its competitors. In conclusion, LACN recommends Clean Harbors to the board because Clean Harbors can support all Task A and Task B operation at the same time. They own a hazardous waste landfill in Southern California and all U.S. incinerators in U.S. They have all types of disposal facilities to handle any hazardous waste materials generated from the city. They also have broad experience handling hazardous waste and are familiar with the city system. Most importantly, Clean Harbors rates are better than the other 2 proposals. During the rate negotiation, Clean Harbors submitted a new rate with a 5% discount on disposal cost from their original proposed rate, and we verified that discount. Also, Clean Harbors offers a 3.5% discount on volume discount if annual billing exceeds $27 million. And Clean Harbor also provides us a 3.5% payment discount within 45 days of corrected invoices. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions and concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Park, for your thorough presentation, and the rest of your team, and Mr. Halou as well. Thank you for your presentation. Commissioners, do we have any questions on this item? I see Commissioner Corsan's light is on. Go ahead.
Thank you. Let's start just breaking this down a little bit, because I think when we all hear $425 million, we think that's per year. But this is spread over 11 years, so $38.5 million, correct?
That's correct.
With that said, so if $7 million for the Safe Center is with the addition of the new site or before the addition of the new site?
The projection is for 9 safe centers, and currently it's 7 safe centers, so we're starting with the cost only $7 million for now, but it will definitely, we're adding 10% annually, and so it will.
By year 11, you're saying it'll be $9 million?
Yes.
Okay.
If we add, I'm sorry, just to clarify, it will be $9 million if we had 2 more centers. It's going to take us time to get the land ready. So it'll take us about a couple years before we get the center up and running, because we have to put the infrastructure, work with the community, making sure it's, it fits into the neighborhood. So it is $7 million, it costs us about $1 million per year per center right now.
So I'll just use $38.5 million for now.
Okay.
And $7 million. So that leaves $31.5 million. How much of that is split between Care Plus and the Clean Water Program?
So let's say $7 million for the safe centers, $750,000 something for WPD, and the rest is Domingos and the LSD team.
Okay. So how
let's say $30 million, so $8 million, so $22 million. Out of that will be LSD team.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioner. Corsan, Domingo Roscoe again. The portion for livability services for Inside Safe, Care and Care Plus, while that ceiling is there, we're currently in the process of growing our program and our staff. We currently have 150 vacancies that we're in the process of filling. We believe that in the next fiscal year we'll be growing our current expenditures for this service. Currently, we're expending about $10 million a year. As the number of our staff grows and the program grows, we expect that to grow over the term, over the 11 years of the program. So that ceiling will be there if we need it. Additionally, under Task B, the ceiling allows for any other division within LA Sanitation that's not mentioned to also access those funds as part of emergency or contingency need as well.
And my next part, I say this as a board member and a constituent. I don't think we want the homelessness crisis to continue to grow in perpetuity or for the next 11 years. So when you're saying that this is a ceiling, when you went out to bid and you modeled the cost of it, at what year did you model in maybe less of a financial requirement to tackle homelessness?
So as we continue to, excellent question, because I think this is exactly getting to the point of what we want to do with our services and why we fully support Mayor Bass's Inside Safe initiative. With the goal of that program currently moving folks from basically being in shelter, we currently have 45 to 60,000, and we're currently waiting for the point in time count. As this program under Inside Safe moves people into support shelters or temporary sheltering or permanent supportive sheltering, what that does is that actually lessens the load on our program. And right now with the current Care Plus program, you can think of it as regular routine cleaning and servicing for a population that is there. What Inside Safe, we're actually hoping that this proves and provides fruit as far as reducing the population over time. We hope to be completely out of this business over time by fully supporting Inside Safe. So the contingency is there, the ceiling is there. The goal of the program is to eventually completely support this program to a close.
But as a financial model, did you have a year where you projected, like, this is where it's going to peak, and then this is where it's going to start going down, even if it's, you know, a 0.5% decline?
We don't at this point, Commissioner. I think what we're trying to do is work within our means and work within the budget that's allowable. Specifically for Task B would be general fund. So living within that constraint and understanding, and again, looking at the full picture of the city's budget process, knowing that we may have years where we may be in a recession or we may have different tax receipts. So just trying to capture all of that and then modeling that potentially. We hadn't looked at whether, you know, what happens to the population is we don't have that control.
So when it's up for options of renewals, is that an opportunity to reset and say, okay, we don't need as high as of a ceiling as we're projecting now?
I think that would be fair to say, Commissioner, because I think we are looking at a 5-year contract with 2 3-year renewals. So as we look at the total, then yes, I think we could look at that 5-year point and see whether we recommend a different type of contract, continuation with the 3-year renewals, or go somewhere else.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Corsand. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, in terms of the vendors that we will be using to enact this, who are some of the vendors that we'll be using, and are there subcontracting opportunities in this effort?
Yes, so there are a series of subcontractors listed with the vendors, and they all are listed in the LA BAMP.
I appreciate the fact that we have been able to identify and plan and hopefully implement a safe center in South LA, because certainly in terms of what we have done in the past, we have done field events where we have implemented these activities at certain locations of existing buildings. But it is certainly commendable for you to move forward with a safe center for that region, covering those council offices that you've identified. I think our service delivery is complete when we do have a system that includes all of the various regions. So for that, I support the effort, because I think this is critically important for us in a city as large as we are, to be able to have the kind of services and all of the millions of dollars that we dedicate to projects like this. We need to have the infrastructure that matches the needs that we have, and that is critically important. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. I just have a few items that I just want to put on the record, and then just a few questions as well. So the contract before us is for safe centers, for some hazardous waste cleanup, and then some watershed protection issues that we want to address, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so could this contract, because it is so large, have been bifurcated?
So, would you repeat?
Could this contract have been bifurcated? Could it have been split up?
That was our initial intention, but since the sanitation director wants to combine this together, because there is some elements we can share together. That's what the original intention was given to us to include. And there isn't that many companies can handle this size of contract and the size of City of LA. So we eventually will come up to 1 or 2 vendors can handle. So that's what the whole idea was, just combined together.
Thank you. The dollar amount for our watershed protection doesn't seem like it's that much. That's why I was asking if that could be, that could have gone on its own track.
Because of their operations are very similar to the livability service divisions, so And then not only that, that's task A, all other sanitation divisions operation is included in the task B.
Okay,
I'm sorry, if I may, Madam President, it's like going to Costco. If you buy in bulk, you get it cheaper stuff. And so the Safe Center is about, let's say, 7 million. The watershed is about 750,000.
It's not a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so if you go by themselves, they'll probably be more expensive.
I understand.
But I would like to have Mary, if possible, to explain to you the outreach she did and how she tried to bring in more
I
people.
understand.
Okay.
The dollar amount for the watershed protection on its own could have gone without being included on here. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it was in the RFP that they could have bid on it, as small companies,
Correct.
but nobody bid on it. After reaching, how many did you do, Mary? How many companies did you reach out to?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We did a Google search and outreach and direct email to almost 300 potential responders or subcontractors. And that was a direct email that gave them a notice that this opportunity would be coming up in an RFP and gave them the opportunity to apply at that time to LA Bavin and currently the LA Ramp city registration process. We actually had maybe 10 of that 300 that were non-registered come back and re-register, but only as subcontractors. When we held the RFP mandatory meeting prior to the RFPs being submitted, we only had 12 companies come in and attend that meeting, and that was virtual, so that was all around the state. And of those 10, we only had 3 proposals, only one of which combined Task A and Task B. So in that bifurcation, we would have spent considerably more dollars. By consolidating into one contract, we were able to obtain through John's negotiation 7% additional discounts for the volume consolidated under one contract.
I understand that, thank you. That was clear also in the briefing. My question is the piece on the watershed protection. In terms of the way that you wrote the RFP, did you include that on there? It just seems like I don't understand how it's tied into our overall goal of addressing homeless issues.
It has to do with the type of services provided, the locations, and perhaps not, the type of hazardous waste being recovered by Clean Harbors. The location for watershed protection is mainly in our storm drains, but the type of material that is being collected and processed is exactly the same types of materials. It's only it's the location and the jurisdiction within our bureaus of sanitation that differ, only that.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate your answer. That gives me more context. Thank you. All right, and once this is approved, if you can just give us, for the public to be able to understand, it goes then to council and to the mayor's office?
That's correct.
Okay, and prior to your coming here, did your bureau check in with the mayor's office?
I'm sorry. So before we came here, we usually go through the Board of Public Works, and we coordinate with the mayor's office and everybody. And so we also talk to the CAO. So because the urgency of getting this contract on to address the homelessness situation, and we are coordinating with everybody up to the council. So this way it will be hopefully accelerated, because we will not have enough money to do Mayor Bass' initiative under the existing contract.
I understand that. I'm just asking if you had checked it with their office prior to coming here, but you're telling me that you went to the CAO's office. Is that correct?
Well, usually the contract is referred to the CAO to to write the report.
I understand.
So
yeah.
we're trying to expedite the process
Okay.
by giving copies of ahead of time.
Okay. It's not necessarily a yes or a no. I get it. Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate the Bureau just doing a lot of diligence and talking to us, and then doing individual briefings and talking to just various sister agencies as well for this work. All right. I don't see any other questions for this item. And do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All right. Dr. Campos, we have a motion by Commissioner Corson and a second by Pro Tem Davis. If you'd like to take a vote.
Absolutely. Let's start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Corzine.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to move this item forward forthwith?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Then let's move on to item number 5. And Dr. Campos, do we have any public comment for this item?
For item 4 or item 5?
Item 5.
We do not, however, I can just double check. We do not have any new callers on the line, but let me just double check on the Zoom call. Members of the general public, if you'd like to speak on item number 5, if you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9 or click the raise hand icon if you're joining us through the Zoom application. Again, this is for item number 5. Anyone from the general public that would like to speak on item 5? Madam Chair, no hands were raised.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 5, and this is a motion. And this is an AFE, CoStar Realty Information, Inc., Bureau of Engineering and the Office of Accounting are requesting the board approval and execution of authority for expenditure in the amount of $20,421.06 for encumbering funds for payment and subscription renewal for an online data access real property sales available property, both private and commercial, market studies and trends for period ending, for the period of July 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. And that's AE 237800018M, Fund 100 General Fund, and Department Number 78 Appropriations Unit 003040. And for this item, we have Uriel, Mr. Jimenez. Good morning.
Good morning. Uri Jimenez, Chief Real Estate Officer for the Bureau of Engineering. In this service that we need, we use it to prepare appraisal reports or for either budgetary purposes to establish the budget for properties that we have to acquire, or to establish just compensation when we acquire properties. We do most of our appraisals in-house, the vast majority of them, and in order to do them more quickly and more efficiently, we need this data service to be able to prepare appraisal reports to make offers to owners. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions on this item? Okay, I don't see any lights on. Do we want to move this item? I'll second that. Dr. Campos, if you could please take a vote. We have a motion by Pro Tem Davis and a second by myself.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Corzine.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to move this forward forthwith?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
You too. You waited, how long was that? An hour and a half. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. All right, then let's go on to our next item, and this is also an AFE. The UCLA Foundation, Bureau of Engineering, and the Office of Accounting are requesting the board approval and execution of authority for expenditure in the amount of $22,500 to encumber funds for UCLA Civil and Environmental Engineering Partners Program with the Bureau of Engineering for year 1 to use advanced civil engineering and technology for annual project development to assist BOE by improving services and managing public right-of-way, automating permitting processes, and providing tools to assist applicants and city employees. And this is AFE 235680002M, Fund 568, Bureau of Engineering Equipment and Training Fund, and that's Department 50, Appropriation Unit 50LLHH. And good morning, Ms. Lindsay Nash.
Good morning, Lindsay Nash, Bureau of Engineering, GIS and Mapping Division. The Bureau of Engineering is requesting your approval of authority for expenditure for year one fees for the UCLA Civil and Environmental Engineering Partners Program in the amount of $22,500. The UCLA Civil and Environmental Engineering Partners Program with the Bureau of Engineering is a 2-year sponsorship program that facilitates interaction with the UCLA Civil and Environmental Engineering Department students, staff, and faculty. The partnership provides the Bureau of Engineering with early engagement with future civil and environmental engineering professionals and research partnership opportunities. The Bureau of Engineering will be working with the UCLA engineering students to use advanced civil engineering technology to assist BOE by improving services in the public right-of-way, automating permitted processes, and providing tools to assist applicants and city employees. The total cost for the 2-year sponsorship is $45,000, which is separated into 2 advance payments. So this first payment will start work. A second request will be prepared and submitted at the start of the second sponsorship year. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions,
Yeah, I have some.
board members?
Yes, could you explain the program to me very briefly or paraphrase the elements of the program?
The program is really just a way to just start engagement with the students at UCLA, and it also allows us to use any sort of like technology or machinery that they have that we can use to improve our processes and our public right-of-way work that we do in the Development Services Program. So the exact scope of their work has not yet been defined, and that's something we're going to work out as we go along. But this is really a win-win opportunity for BOE and those students to start that partnership. It's also part of BOE's strategic planning effort to start engagement with local universities. So,
Great, I think that's a wonderful thing, and that's why the city is here to be a collaborative partner in training for universities in our area. So I'm very supportive of what you're doing, and I appreciate you describing to me how we're moving strategically in that way. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Davis. Any other questions? All right. Do we have a motion to approve this item?
Second.
All right. Dr. Campos, we have a motion by Pro Tem Davis and a second by Commissioner Corsan.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to move this item forward forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we have, I think we're going to have a correction on this AFE, but I'll let the Bureau explain this one. Item number 7, it's an AFE, it's a UCLA Payment Solution and Compliance. Bureau of Engineering and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $595,531 to conduct a hillside streets assessment and prioritization plan. The work is in 2 phases with a period of performance from November 1st, 2022 to October 31st, 2023, and that's AE 235680001M, Fund 568, Bureau of Engineering Equipment and Training Fund, Department 50, Appropriation Unit 50 LLHH.
Good morning.
Morning, and we have Mr. Zadozai?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Abdullah Sarazan with Bureau of Engineering, Valley District Office. The board report for this item to authorize the city engineer to enter into a sole source contract with UCLA for performing a phased comprehensive study to assess the hillside streets in response to Council File 18114 and 17113 was adopted in June 3, 2022. Council File 18114, the City Council instructed BOE and Streets LA to report on hillside studies that cannot be resurfaced at their current conditions and to prepare a working plan to address them. And Council File 171143, the City Council instructed BOE and Street LA to report on assessment of recently reinstated hillside streets previously withdrawn from the public use. So BOE and Streets LA investigated each of the 278 street segments that were reinstated per ordinance 186020 adopted on March 6 of 2019, and it was determined that 118 segments can be maintained in its current condition, and 60 segments require some level of engineering and construction prior to the city's ability to maintain it. However, after some research, it was determined that there is about 12,400 street segments included in the baseline hillside ordinance area. A majority of the street segments do not meet the current city standards. Therefore, the joint report recommended to the City Council was to extend the study to all of the segments, not only to the two council files. So with understanding that these are the streets that can be maintained, but substandard and maybe high priority for improvement due to prioritization of criteria such as emergency egress during fires. So then the Bureau reached to UCLA because due to prior engagement with them and relationships, since the city does not have staff or technology to be able to gather this data internally, the UCLA was willing to do the work and they had the technology. Therefore, when we did the board report initially, the signature for the accounting was missing from the board report. So they started the first phase, they completed the first phase, now they're working on the second phase. So we have a two invoice from UCLA, now we're required to get a board approval in order to establish that contract and process their payment, or invoice. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, commissioners, on this item? Right. Do we have a motion to approve this item? All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Corson and a second by Pro Tem Davis. Dr. Campos, if you could just...
Yes, let's start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzine.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to move this item forward forthwith?
Please.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. And then we have a last item on our agenda. We have an oral report, transportation projects. That's why you're here. I saw you come in. Thank you, Mr. Antonelli. I saw you come in and I was thinking, I'm like, I don't see anything on our agenda, but I missed the update from Metro.
Yeah. So
Good morning.
Good morning. Matt Antonelli, Deputy Chief Program Management Officer for Metro. I'm here today to present a few projects to you all and give you some updates. First off, just want to recognize Sammy Galley was not able to be here today, so he had some prior engagements, so I'm filling in for him. I also want to thank Dr. Campos for working with us on the time slot, making sure we were able to be here in person. So thank you, Dr. Campos. So usually we report on a few projects, Crenshaw Regional and the Purple Lines. Happy to say Crenshaw is no longer on the agenda anymore, so that's good. One less project to go through. So today we will go through the Regional Connector and then we'll go through each of the Purple Line projects as well. And so if you have any questions, obviously we're here to answer and address those as they come. Bear with me while I'm I'm hitting the button. Johanna, do you want to just, yeah. All right, so first off, we're going to start with Regional Connector. Regional Connector is a just shy of 2-mile alignment that runs right through downtown Los Angeles. Been in construction for obviously a few years now. And we're really getting excited to be close to the end here. We're going to open to the public in a few months. Go to the next slide. So starting off with our Little Tokyo Arts District station, you can see in the picture that we're well into our finishes stages. A lot of our steel cladding on the outside is being installed right now while we're really focused on finishing the systems testing within the entire alignment. The picture on the left shows the plaza as it's currently standing right now, and the picture on the right shows the platform as if you were waiting for the train. Going to the next slide, it takes us to our historic Broadway station, very similar state at that station as opposed to Central, working into the testing phases and the final touches of the architectural finishes. The next slide will be the Bunker Hill station. This is probably our furthest along of all the three stations. You can see the picture on our left here is the station above ground. The picture in the middle is some of the R work that's installed down below. And then the picture on the right is the mezzanine as you go down into the platform. So this station is well into our final testing, really focusing on some of the finishes. And one thing that I will point out to the board today is that Metro as a whole has really went back and taken into account some lessons learned from the red line stations, things we can improve in our system to help make it more safer and cleaner for everybody to use. And so now we're trying to gather that data and implement some of those things into our new stations to help make them so we're not having to come back later on and make some changes. Moving on to the next slide is more of your interest is the civil restoration underway right now. As I reported in the past and a few weeks ago, we are really focusing on some of the work at the 2nd and Broadway area, working on some AT&T work that, if you remember, we just got a closure approved not too long ago. So that work's well underway. The intersection of 2nd and Broadway itself is being restored. There has been a major focus on Flower Street between 1st and 3rd, as we've discussed that in the past as well. And then as we finish up those areas, we're going to start finishing the rest of Flower Street. So if you remember, last time I reported, Flower Street really focused was north of 6th Street. Now we're going to focus on the rest of the remaining work south of 6th Street. But the work is going well. We don't have any complaints or issues that we're dealing with the stakeholders. They're all working with us on these closures. Next slide. For our upcoming street closures, like I mentioned, AT&T is well underway. We're working with there on 2nd Street. The first, Flower Street is going to be our biggest one that's going to be coming back. We don't expect any long-term full closures to be in place. We expect to do this over weekends and things that we can reduce the impacts to the public, but that's going to be the next pace of pavement. And then we've continued to work in the 1st and Alameda area. We don't have any plans to come back at this time for any kind of long-term closures that greatly impact the community. We're working with what we have right now in the weekends and some of those type of closures. So if that changes, I'll come back and brief the board of that. But right now we're doing our best to maintain within weekends or watch closures. So as far as community relations and public outreach, as I mentioned, our team continues to really canvass the area and work with our stakeholders. Being that this job has been in construction for a number of years, I think at this point the community understands what we're doing and working with us on that. And so we continue our efforts though as things change. Obviously, as one thing that's not in here, but I will point out, is we are testing trains. So each night we do have trains running in our alignment, getting ready for an opening later this year. We are going to start running some trains that actually do go and leave our alignment onto like 1st Street, for example, and then start tying into these existing stations. So we're obviously canvassing the area, making sure the public's aware of what we're doing, since trains haven't been running there for a number of years. We do have a member of the BIF team here. If there is questions regarding to BIF, we'd be happy to address those. I know on regional, we haven't had any BIF, we haven't had any work that classifies as a business interruption fund type of work. So if you do want to report, Sydney's here to address any questions as well, if you have any. So that's it for regional. Unless you have specific questions, I'd be happy to address or answer. All right. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to turn the time over to the Purple Line projects. We do have our three project representatives, Jim Cohen from Purple Line 1, Mike McKenna from Purple Line 2, and Matthew Crow from Purple Line 3. And again, Metro BIF is here as well if there are any questions for that. So turn the time over to Jim.
Good morning, board members. Jim Cohen, project manager for Section 1 of the Purple Line. The first slide that you have there is just the overall Purple Line showing sections 1, 2, and 3. Next slide, please. Just to remind everybody, Section 1 is 3 stations. We're a little shy of 4 miles in length. We are at 83% complete, and we have a forecast to open in the fall of '24. Next slide, please. Some photographs and some information on La Brea Station. The upper right photograph is the bus lane replacement on the south side of Wilshire. We've already completed the north side of Wilshire. We've moved traffic towards the north, allows us to complete the bus lane, curb gutter, and sidewalk. You can see that would be on the right side of that area. So we're in street restoration phase over at La Brea. Underground at La Brea Station, the lower right photograph shows the plates that we use for the crossover. The crossover allows the trains to change tracks just in case they have to bypass a section of tunnel or a station. So we're in the process of laying that out. It's a very complex and very exacting piece of work that has to be done. The lower left photograph shows an emergency ventilation fan. Again, this is for air movement in case there's an emergency and we have to relieve smoke or bring fresh air in. That piece of fan that's under that white plastic provides enough CFMs to safely exchange the air in the station. We are also continuing, which there aren't any photographs right now, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing work. So inside the station proper, we're putting cabling in and setting equipment, getting ready for the testing phase. Next, please. At Fairfax, the upper right is the weekend decking removal closure. This is many years ago, we closed the street to put our decking in, our false street, and excavated underneath it to build the station. Now we've come for full circle, and we've backfilled over this station roof, and we're removing the temporary decking. And we actually, last weekend, we completed the removal of the decking and paving of at least a base course of asphalt. So for Fairfax Station, there are no temporary deck panels. It's all fresh asphalt since we've completed all the backfilling. The lower right photograph shows one of the escalators going in at Fairfax Station. This is an escalator that goes from the platform level to the mezzanine or concourse level. And the lower right photograph is part of the entrance structure. It's the intermediate landing where we have, eventually we'll have sets of stairs and escalators going from the surface down into the concourse level. Also at Fairfax, we are continuing with electrical, mechanical, and plumbing to get ready for systems testing. Next. There are no upcoming street closures in the near future. We will obviously come back to the board and give you plenty of notice of when our next street closure is planned, but right now our look ahead says there's nothing to provide you at this point in time. But should those plans change, we will give you notice. Next. As far as the BIF, here's the statistics. If there's anyone has any questions, again, we have our BIF expert in the
Thank
room.
you for your report on the West Side line. There's a lot of work and a lot of traffic in this area. Appreciate it. And we haven't had any delays in construction or anything like that?
Well, for Fairfax, for the decking removal, we were delayed multiple weekends because the weather wasn't cooperating. We had to cancel. So we should have had that finished earlier, but we can't place asphalt in the rain. So that was a little delay. But overall, we're still trending to that fall of '24 opening. But we have a lot of work to do between now and then.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that this is coming along and it's so important to the vitality of moving pedestrians throughout Los Angeles. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon now. Mike McKenna, Senior Executive Officer for Section 2 of the Purple Line Extension. So I know this board is familiar with the alignment of Section 2, but for the members of the public that might be listening, Section 2 is the next 2.5 miles through the city of Beverly Hills and back into the city of Los Angeles in Century City. So more than half of our construction takes place in the city of Los Angeles, despite the fact that only about 10 to 15% of the alignment is in the city of Los Angeles. And our forecasted revenue service date is late 2025. Next slide, please. So just a reminder of where we're situated in Century City. Our station is situated between Century Park East and just west of Avenue of the Stars on Constellation Boulevard. We're surrounded by a number of high-rise buildings, a lot of stakeholders that we communicate with on a daily basis of all the work that's going on. And our office is on Century Park East, just next to one of the staging yards. Next slide, please. So for the last couple of months, the major activity in Century City has been focused on excavation of the last part of the Century City Constellation Station. So we're about 84% complete with the excavation. Noting the question previously to Section 1, we have been impacted by rain lately too. It's great that the region is getting this much rain. We all know that we've been in a drought for so long and we need the rain. But it's been challenging with the excavation because landfills close when it rains, and then the station is almost like a big drain in the middle of Century City, so a lot of the runoff comes down and collects at the bottom of the excavation. So after a rain event, we miss a couple of days while things dry out and water is pumped out and treated before it can go into a storm drain. So over the last 2 months, we have lost a couple of weeks on progress on the excavation, but we're optimistic that we're turning the corner and that progress will pick up over the next month or two, and we'll finish the excavation. Next slide, please. So just a couple of photos of what it looks like at topside. In addition to the station box excavation, we are in the hopefully the near completion phase of a storm drain relocation outside of the station box. So you can see in the photo there's a trench running down Avenue of the Stars. So that work has also been impacted by the rain. We can't place pipe. It's a city storm drain that we're building, and we can't place the pipe in the bottom of the trench until the trench dries out. So we're continuing to work with our stakeholders to notify them of any impacts associated with the traffic control remaining in place for that as that work is completed. And then you can see another photo on the right of the area in front of the hotel's driveway. You can't see in the photo, there's a lane that's maintained on the other side of that excavator in the photo to make sure that our work is not impacting that business, just like any other business in Century City. Next slide, please. And I believe the last time we briefed this board was in early December, and at that time we had just completed the excavation of one of the tunnels. So in addition to the station, the other major activity that's been occurring in Century City has been construction of the bored tunnels. So I'm pleased to announce that we have completed operations with the second tunnel boring machine. We finished that in January. So the only underground tunneling that we're doing right now in Section 2 are the short connector tunnels that are between each of the two subway tunnels. These are, we refer to them as cross passages. They're required for fire life safety every 750 to 800 feet along the alignment. So we have 14 of those cross passages. They're all within the city of Beverly Hills, but the activities supporting the work for those excavations is taking place in Century Park, on Century Park East in the city of Los Angeles. So there's a lot less material coming out of the ground now that we're done with the two big tunnels. So truck traffic has greatly reduced in Century City over the last couple of months, which I think most of the stakeholders are happy with. Next slide, please. And similar to Section 1, we don't have any full street closures on the horizon to request from this board. We will have continued lane restrictions in Century City over the next 2 quarters, but I know from previous reporting to this board, we're trying to let you know ahead of time if we see anything out the next 2 to 4 quarters. And at this point, through this calendar year, I don't anticipate coming to this board to request any full street closures. Okay. And I believe that's our last slide for Section 2. We have some statistics on the business interruption fund here, if there are any questions on those. Or if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, commissioners? Just a quick question, if you can just, the realignment of the storm drain for Section 2, the Century City Constellation Station, was that a cost that was bared by Metro?
Oh, yes, it was. It was triggered by a decision by the project to avoid a real estate acquisition to build some appendage structures. I'm sure you've heard the term appendage in some of our other discussions. It was a ventilation structure at the west end of our station. So in order to avoid a real estate transaction, we moved the ventilation structures into the sidewalk, and then, you know, no good deed goes unpunished, right? And that triggered a relocation of the storm drain.
Okay.
So that's all being paid for by Metro, and the work is being supervised and approved by the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Okay. I appreciate it. I don't have any other questions. Seems like we're good.
Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners. I'm Matthew Crow. I'm the Deputy Executive Officer on Section 3 of the Purple Line. Apologies from Kimberly Ong, she's unable to make it. But I am so glad to be back in this building. I was last here 20 years, and face to face, it's great. And back in the city with the city family. I'm going to be talking about Section 3 of the Purple Line. Just quickly talk about what the project is, so obviously so the public listening in know what we're talking about. So this is the final section that goes from Century City, which is the end of Section 2, through to the VA hospital station west of the 405, with an intermediate station at Westwood UCLA. So with 2.5 miles of tunnel. We've almost finished the final design, which is great. And the overall project progress is creeping up to the halfway mark, which is good. The wet weather hasn't helped us with that goal to get halfway. It's hampered the work somewhat. And our revenue service date forecast is 2027. Next slide. Okay. I'm going to talk about the three halves of the project, tunneling and the two stations. Sorry, the three parts of the project. On the tunneling, we've almost finished the mechanized tunneling, so we almost finished the 2.5 miles. We've got about, around 1,000 foot to complete for both tunnel drives. The two tunnel boring machines, Iris and Aura, if you look in the bottom right picture, where that pink triangle is Century Park West, which is kind of the border of Century City. The BL machine, Aura, is at the moment underneath Century Park West, and we're doing an intervention to make sure, into the cutter head of the machine, to make sure everything is absolutely tickety-boo. We've got all the right, the tools, cutter tools. If you look at the top picture, that's one of the cutter tools. Replacing any that aren't in perfect shape for the final run beneath Westfield Mall in Century City. Tunnel progress has been steady, but we don't want to rush the tunneling. We want to make sure it's done right and doesn't impact the public with any mishaps. So currently, obviously, one machine I said we're doing an intervention to make sure everything's great. That's the BL machine, Aura, and then Iris. This slide is obviously dated. It's not quite up to date. We've successfully tunneled underneath Gelson's deli counter, and we're heading onwards underneath Westfield Mall. So we should be done with the mechanized tunneling in a couple of months. Next slide. Then the second part of the project is the Westwood UCLA station. We're about 16% complete. We've got the main entrance, which those of you know the area, is in Lot 36 on the north side of Wilshire Boulevard, Lot 36 of UCLA. And we've excavated to level 1 and got all the struts in there. We're currently doing hanging of utilities beneath the road deck. That's a pretty slow, laborious process, and it hasn't helped us with having the rain. I mean, that has, as Mike McKenna mentioned, it has affected us. And one of the things, if you look at the pictures, they're all a bit dark because with the picture on the left is showing the work under the decking. I mean, it's you can't see the beautiful Southern California sunshine when you're working under the deck. And then if you look at the right-hand picture, that is showing we're doing a temporary power supply, so we've got electricity for building the station rather than working on generators. It's obviously better for the environment. And that work's being done at night, and many thanks to the various parts of the city family that have, helped reviewing and approving that work to get it going, including, BOE and LA DOT, and not to mention ConAd, helping us out, keeping us out of mischief, which has been very useful for us. And thanks to the city for helping. Next slide. Let's move to, we're moving to the terminal station, the Westwood Veterans Affairs Hospital Station. As you can see with the pictures, it's all nice and bright and light because we're working during the day and we can see the beautiful sunshine, or I guess that was a cloudy day because of the rain. Overall, the station excavation is about 17% complete. We've installed just over half of the level 1 struts and bracing, and level 2 about a quarter of the struts and bracing. And we're hanging utilities on the far east. There were some deep utilities that still needed to be hung at the far east of the box, which is within the Caltrans right away, just to the west side of the 405. Hopefully next time we talk, I won't be talking about the steam tunnel, but it's quite a complicated bit of kit, this steam tunnel. And as you can see with the picture on the right, lots of pipes and whatnot. We're working on just doing the fit out for that so that we can do commissioning, and that will enable us to demolish the old steam tunnel, which is very important for us because that enables us to have at it with the excavation of the rest of the station. Next slide. Just a quick look at schedule here. This really focusing on UCLA station because that's the one that impacts the city. Obviously, the VA station is within the federal property of the hospital complex there. We're in the final throes of those utility relocations. As mentioned, there was that electrical line. That work being done at night or weekends. The decking was completed, and we're in, for the next best part of the next year doing excavation and support of that excavation. And then in a couple of years' time, we'll be building the northeast and southeast entrance at UCLA station, and also backfilling above the station box. So that will be the next work that really impacts the city. And business interruption fund. I guess I can read the slide out. We've awarded one grant for a value of $50,000 to one business. So that's it. So if you've got any questions.
No, you've done a lot of good work for the West Side Purple Line at UCLA, and just looking at the last slide, the mapping, it looks like the next trunk of work will be done this year and next year through 2025.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to have some work with removal of the tunnel boring machine at Mike's Constellation Station. But we've been working very closely with not only LA DOT, but also the various stakeholders around that work to make sure that that's done in a way that avoids unnecessary impact on those very important businesses and residences of the Century City.
Great. And bus lines to UCLA uninterrupted?
No, there's no, I mean, if you go to the street now, apart from the road surface is now concrete, you wouldn't really know we were there. I mean, it's, once obviously the hard, heavy lifting and the big impact was doing the decking at the weekends, and we did that last year. And so hopefully, we shouldn't have too much impact on the residents and stakeholders of the UCL area. Okay. But we will work very closely with, all the city family about anything that we're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Don't see any other questions.
That's it for our presentation. Any questions for anybody?
I think we're good.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Nice vest.
Thank you. My middle daughter made this for me. She's loving the rounds.
It's cute. All right. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the floor?
Yes, you have.
Thanks. Now adjourned at 12:14 p.m. Thank you.